7:30, January 26th, 2021. Let's officially call our meeting to order. It's the second meeting of January, scheduled meeting of Bridgeport Borough Council. Folks, if you could please pledge the flag with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. You. Roll call, please, Angela.
Corey Scott.
Here.
James Fee.
Here.
Randy Bennett. Randy Bennett.
Here.
Megan Nolan.
Here.
Diane Gundrum. Here. Tony Heil.
Here.
Kyle Schenk.
Here. Thank you. That's everyone accounted for. Just for the record, folks, we were in executive session from about 7:10 until about 7:30, just discussing some matters of potential litigation. And Mr. Truman.
Thank you very much, President Schenk. Good evening, everybody. First up, for council consideration, adoption of the meeting minutes from the January 12th, 2021 meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Nolan, seconded by Mr. Heil to adopt our minutes from the last meeting, January 12th. Any additional questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right, very good. Next up is a sketch plan presentation for the parcel located at 125 Borough Line Road, green space self-storage. And with that, I will let in or admit to the meeting room the representatives from Green Space.
Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just waiting for, looks like Scott is still connecting to audio. All right, looks like everybody is on board now. Good evening, representatives of Green Space Storage. My name's Keith Truman. I'm the Borough Manager of Bridgeport. With us also this evening is Mayor Mark Barbie, Council President Kyle Schenk, Council members Corey Scott, Diane Gundrum, Megan Nolan, Tony Heil, Jim Fee, and Randy Bennett. Our police chief, Todd Beretta, our engineer, Ed Woyden, and our solicitor, Paul Peters. If you could please, a little inundated, eight people just jumped on. So if we could, make introductions, it'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
I'm David Ledoux, and I'm one of the owners of Green Space.
Yeah, my name's Rick Stockton. I'm one of the owners of Green Space.
Yeah, I'm Scott McClary. I'm the project manager for this particular project. I'm with Green Space.
Hi, my name's Jill Stoggard. I work for Harrison and French and Associates, and I represent the civil team for them.
And I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm legal counsel for Green Space.
Brian Gill, civil engineer of record for the project.
Jamie Cook, one of the architects on Green Space, from HFA.
Megan Davis, HFA architecture team.
All right, thank you to each of you and welcome. With that, we have prior to your arrival, we have laid the basic details. The parcel in question is 125 Borough Line Road. The applicant is Green Space Self-Storage. and I will turn it over to your team to provide the presentation. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Truman. We'd like to begin by addressing the issue of standing. I believe that all the members of the council and maybe you as well have been provided with a copy, a redacted copy of the agreement of sale. Because there's an agreement of sale in place and GreenSpace is the purchaser under the terms of the agreement of sale, they have standing to present this application. With that being said, I would like to turn it over to the project director, who is Mr. McCleary, who is going to address what the project is, how it's intended to develop, and then you can pose any questions that you might have to him.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. For some reason my video is not starting, so we need to run down the hall to David Ledoux's office, and we'll call it up on his screen. So bear with me just a minute.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. We're
It's
we just experienced some ourselves. That's
yeah, it's
right.
just yeah, it's just saying failing to start video camera. Please select another video camera in settings, but I don't have one. So let me run down the hall real quick and get in David's office.
So while Scott's on the way down, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. I know your time is very valuable, and we appreciate being able to get in front of all of you to discuss this project. I'm sure you may or may not know, but Rick, my partner Rick Stockton, and we have patents and are patent pending on building multi-story self-storage facilities out of recycled shipping containers. And at the end of the day, you can't see the shipping container from outside the building or even inside the building until you roll up your unit door and you see corrugated metal on the floor, which is what you would see in any other typical self-storage facility. So we're indistinguishable from the other Class A self-storage facilities, and it's modular construction with 400 shipping containers welded together. So just thought I'd make sure everyone knew. Rick, anything to add to that?
No, that sums it up. We build them 3 stories tall. These are fit for purpose shipping containers. We're using the containers and driving up and down the road every day. We just take those out of circulation and upcycle them. So it's a cost savings, schedule savings, business approach.
As our name might suggest, we're the greenest self-storage builders around that we know of.
Now, David and Rick, when you say you're the greenest self-storage company around, is that strictly from a carbon footprint base on what you generate in since you're recycling, you're not creating a new from scratch product, or are there other aspects or facets to your strategy?
You hit the nail on the head. During construction is where we save the most. So we're not pouring a lot of concrete, and so that saves the CO2 production during the formation or production of cement that goes into concrete. These containers would eventually have to be recycled, and so that will not happen. We're putting them into an air-conditioned, climate-controlled facility, and they'll last, essentially forever. We're not having to buy new materials, studs and metal pans and things of that nature that go into the construction of a self-storage facility. So we're saving a lot of electricity. We're saving a lot of CO2. David, I forget the exact number, but I think during construction, we're saving enough electricity to power about 550 homes, average size U.S. home, for a year, and removes about 600 tons of CO2 production from the environment just by the use of these shipping containers. Now, once we're operating, we may use a little bit less electricity to light and AC the facility, but in general terms, we're about on par basis with everyone else.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think we're ready to try this experiment here, so I'm gonna let Scott take over.
All right, I've enabled screen sharing, so you guys should be good to go.
Okay, great. So, okay, so let's see. So you should be able to see our presentation on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so y'all have gone through the intros. So this is the first slide. This is basically our site. It's 125 Borough Line Road. It's to the west side of Bridgeport. It's to the left of 202 and just north of Borough Line Road. Let's see here. So this is a little closer view of the site. It's approximately 5 acres, and it's located just behind a parking lot right here that runs along the frontage of 202. And then let's see, this is slide 3. So basically, we're behind this. It's Century Surgical, which is situated on Borough Line Road. So we're directly behind it, and we're going to develop about 2.5 acres of the 5 acres that's available. Let's see. This is slide 4. This is a revised site plan compared to the one that we originally sent you. We shifted the building a little bit left to take it out of the Pico right of way, and we changed up the access road to the site. However, we left off the access road from 202, which we can talk about more a little bit later. But basically, this is the footprint is 44,800 square feet. We've got a fire lane that goes all the way around it, and we're currently showing 14 parking spots off to the left of it. Let's see. Going to the elevations. Moving too fast. Okay, this is the lower one here is the front elevation of the building. This building is going to be overall. This store is about 135,000 gross square feet. It's going to be 3 stories. It's going to be 95,000 net rentable square feet. We'll have approximately 1,000 units in it. It's all climate controlled. The exterior of the facade of the building will be IMPs, insulated metal panels. We're proposing the majority of the building would be a light gray or tan color, with the accent colors on the front here and on the sides would be a classic brown. We also have glass above the office, and we'll have some faux roll-up doors behind the glass to show off this is a self-storage facility. Let's see. And here at the end, we got some photos. Here, David, you want to take this slide?
So this is before and after photos of how it starts and how it can finish, and we can make the facility. We can clad it however whatever's required by the local ordinances and building code. And as you can see by the picture on the left, this is a very nice facility. We've got a glass tower there. We are using insulated metal panels on this one as well. However, the one that we're proposing to build at the site is not nearly as loud as this one. This one was just was a requirement for the area that it's in. But there you see the shipping container stacked, and then you see the product after the fact. And like I said, I think our first engineer that we hired to do our first facility said that during construction, we save about enough electricity during construction to power 570 homes for a year, and we reduce CO2 emissions by 1,500 tons. So something
It was
about that.
600 tons. 600 tons, David.
600
Mark,
tons?
it was 600 tons. I've already gone over that with them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I was
Yep.
on mute with Scott. All right.
Yep.
So that's our presentation.
All right.
That's what we plan to, that's what our wish is, to build at 125 Borough Line.
All right.
If I could jump in with a question, Keith.
Yes, please.
I guess two things that occurred to me quick. I think the facility looks really nice. Anywhere else relatively locally that you've done construction like this or used this concept?
We have 2 facilities in operation currently, and we're in construction on 2 other properties. One in Stafford, Virginia, one in Houston, in the Houston area. We're in permitting on one in Sacramento, and permitting one in Portland, Oregon.
We're building one right now also in White Marsh, Maryland.
So if this was completed, this would be the first one in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Gentlemen, we don't have necessarily stringent cosmetic mandates in terms of architectural design. However, if we were so inclined, would you be willing to work with and discuss and talk through potential design and color input with the administration and the governing body if we were so inclined to make that request?
Absolutely. The only thing that we would, please keep in mind that we haven't chosen a third-party management company to manage it yet, and they have their own color branding. So as soon as we choose one, it'll be either CubeSmart Extra Space, Public Storage, or Life Storage. We'll have to save some room for their color branding. Other than that, absolutely, we'd like to hear and get input from you from what you'd like to see.
Very good, thank you.
And I don't know the timing on that. The location where you're looking at, I think we have, not that Bridgeport's that big anyway, but we do have potential for other growth and other investment we're working with the county on. Based on your past completed site, I think that your vision for what this would look like is similar to what we might hope for a future project in that area. But I guess we would have to discuss that, Keith, with the other people from the county to find out what we don't want to ruin a year's worth of work on that county development plan. But I don't necessarily think that's what
Thank you, Tony. Are there any other immediate questions or comments from council? Otherwise, I was going to ask Mr. Boyden if he wanted to discuss the January 22nd review letter.
And there's just a
I
head.
just had a quick
coming through,
question.
So folks, if you're not actively talking, maybe your Zoom.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. How long does something like this take to put together?
This is from the start of their work to the time that it's generally a 10 to 12 month process. The Maryland project will be 10 months, same size store, 10-month construction. And, there's things on the site conditions and things of that nature. Just call it 10 to 12 months.
Are you able to hear Rick?
Rick, you're a little broken up. Could you?
Well, let me step in. It's about 10 to 12 months of construction time, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the painting world is a little different than it was 3 years ago. But typically, we're going to finish one in about 12 months in the Houston area, and our goal is to get them finished in about 10 months.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from council?
On something this size, any idea of how many full-time employees would be on site?
No more than 2.
Okay.
Ed, would you be so kind as to review your review letter?
Sure, Keith, did council see it, I assume?
Council did see it, yes.
Okay, and I'm guessing that the applicant saw it too, based on some of the modifications. So what the 7 or 8 comments, basically the 8th being the standard one we say about the, accordance with the borough's subdivision land development. Your comments today are just advisory. They're not, held bound to council or anybody else. It's just a suggested presentation to get a read, so the applicant is aware of how we do that and do this in the borough of Bridgeport. It's permitted use, as you saw in my notes. Some of the plan things here that I mentioned are more of a heads up for land development as the applicant moves forward, so they can see what we'd be looking at. In addition, a typical comment number 6, typical sketch plan would have included that location plan, but I think based on the presentation, can see where it was. We knew where it was anyway, but 7 is not necessary any longer with the move in the structure. And the only other point that I would like that hit me while we're listening today is I did do a quick search, noted that you had the 2 operating facilities in Texas and none in Pennsylvania at this time. I would assume that your technical staff has researched the building codes in the state of Pennsylvania, and something like this would be permitted.
I'll let my engineer answer that question.
HFA can address it for us.
Yes, as far as I understand that, Jamie and Megan are the architects on this project, and this is something that meets all the building codes from their research.
Okay, I bring that up. The borough's building code official, I don't believe, is on the call this evening, but that would be what he would be looking at as you progressed. If the project progressed to a land development submission, those are the kind of things that we need to be addressed. Addition, just so you know, and I'm sure you've thought of it, but the final plans that will be submitted for the borough to review need to be signed and sealed by somebody with a Pennsylvania license.
Yes, sir. We're licensed in Pennsylvania.
Very good. Thank you. And so, and to end my 2 cents of this, those last 3 comments as my standard reminder to council that, no official actions taken on sketch plans, that they're distributed for the comments that we heard tonight, and the dialogue between the applicant and council is a great thing. So they hear what you're thinking before they get into the more detailed plan. So happy to answer any questions.
One other thing I just want to ask and get a comment on. Again, that area is near where we might have some future residential development, possibly condos, possibly right, not far. In terms of what we talked about with the county, right, Ed?
Sure. Yeah.
It's the other side of 202, but yes, Tony.
Right. I'm just saying it's not across town. It's right around there. This kind of building structure and what it would be how it'd be operated, it sounds like it would not be very noisy, right? And I say that as a good thing, because if there's going to be residential there and this is something that's messy or noisy or trafficky, that was one of our concerns with the county, Keith and Ed, because we don't want to approve something that's going to dissuade other development in that area. So that might actually enhance the attractiveness of that for our future prospects as a borough.
It county may be consistent, given that people move into apartments, condos, don't have a place to store a lot of stuff. So it gives them a very nearby storage area, The other point that I think was mentioned earlier that we may want that again popped into my head was the removal of the access off of the 202 highway. Could somebody explain the thinking to council, please?
Let me just say it.
No, actually, the site plan, when we revised the site plan, we revised the access easement from Borough Line over to the site, but we left out the access from 202, but we have access from both directions, and I'm not on my computer. I apologize for the
We'll send
glitch
them an
with the,
update.
but I can send this agreement to you. So this is a access easement agreement from 2005, and
Okay.
and it shows the access easements. There's a
Great.
access easement from 202 through lot 1 to lot 2, which is the lot we're buying, and then the one that we drew from Borough Line over to the site.
So we'll send them an updated.
Yeah,
Updated plan.
yeah, actually, we're getting the survey revised to include the access from 202.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, that on the sketch that I reviewed, the one dated November 17th, that the access off of 202 was not within that easement. So that's why you're having to redesign that.
Let's see. So
So originally when we got, this is Jill, I was the designer on that one. So originally when we got it, it kind of went back and forth until we got all the legalities figured out for the easement agreements like Scott is talking about. And now that they have that all settled, and all, because some of it wasn't showing up in the title searches just because of some of the date mismatches. So they actually do have access from the 202 and through that 50-foot access easement on the left side, which would actually technically be the south side. So we had dropped it from one, then we put it on another, but in the end, the final product will have access from both sides.
Okay,
As he's
that's,
talking about.
you answered my question. I know I saw it was removed from the slide that was up there, but it will get back on. And I would suggest that you know, those agreements be sent to Mr. Truman's office when you have them, and then Mr. Truman can get it to Mr. Peters and I for our our review when you go through into land development.
And also, as Scott said, we've got an Alta survey that is going to be updated, and it's going to reflect all of this.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. I had a few questions. David, did you mention what in your initial pitch, or Scott rather, pardon me, how many units you're planning on putting into this building?
Yeah, we're gonna have approximately 1,000 units.
1,000 units.
It's
Okay.
plus or minus.
And they're all temp control or
Yes,
climate control?
all climate control.
Okay. No, I'm judging by the number of parking spaces that you're currently proposing, that there won't be any outdoor parking or outdoor storage.
No exterior units.
All right. So nobody can rent out park their prized rusted out Winnebago there for everybody to behold as they drive by. Okay. That's good. Go ahead.
Typically self-storage, we might have more customers than that, but they're loading and unloading. The only time you're really using the parking spaces is to rent a unit and then to give up the unit. Otherwise, you're in the loading areas.
Sure. We have a couple towns, nearby towns, I know between here and my hometown, about 15 miles away, that they're a combo. They also have, a place for people to park boats and campers and things of that nature outdoors too, which isn't necessarily the most sightly thing. So relief to hear that it's all scheduled to be indoors. But that begs a question. Would we can discuss that at a later date. That's putting the cart before the horse. I don't have anything else. Thank you, gentlemen. Are there any other members of council that have any questions or comments? Okay. Well, seeing none, again, thank you all for joining us tonight. Appreciate the explanation of what your intentions are, and I'm sure we will be hearing from Green Space and your representatives in the very near future.
Keith, can we, there's a couple of items on this review letter that
Is
we'd
this,
like to.
is this
to
the appropriate time?
discuss.
Is this the appropriate time to discuss that, or
Yeah,
should we
can
wait?
No, we could, if you had a couple items, yeah, we could discuss them, sure. Pardon me for cutting you short.
No, that's all right. It's the one regarding the parking.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Oh, okay.
That's going to precipitate, you know, once we get to that point, that's likely, in all likelihood, going to precipitate a zoning relief request. So, but yes,
Okay.
we can talk about that more later.
Then, okay, well, that's really the one I wanted to touch on. So, okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone's time.
I'm sorry, just add one little bit of clarity for you, if I may, before you go, where I made the comment in 5 about plantings and parking spaces in the sanitary sewer easement for council's understanding. I have no problem with parking over the sanitary sewer easement. I have an issue with plantings of any substantial size, you know, bushes, low root growth, no big deal, but no trees that are going to impact the sewer with roots or any other access issue. So just for clarity there.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Very good. All right. Well, again, thank you, and we won't hold you up any further this evening.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, next item on the agenda, and can everybody hear me? Or we're all still here? Okay, very good. Next up for council consideration, a potential host site for a Montgomery County recycling event, and this event in particular would be a rain barrel and compost bin distribution day. Members of council, sure you're aware that the Sustainability Committee is constantly meeting to discuss and work through initiatives and programs that we could potentially bring to Bridgeport in the spirit of improving on our resiliency, adaptation, our overall, you know, reduction of a carbon footprint, just ways to, you know, pragmatic and sensible ways to make Bridgeport an overall greener community. One of the items that we have talked about was some sort of education or outreach initiative. In recent years, the Montgomery County Department of Recycling has hosted a multitude of different recycling-oriented or green-oriented events at varying municipalities or school districts. And normally they pick a off-campus or a satellite site to host it simply because it's a 2-person department and they operate out of one Montgomery Plaza. So it's not necessarily always the easiest place to either hold hold an event or distribute pallets and pallets of rain barrels or compost bins. We have been talking about as a sustainability committee, allowing or creating the ability for a vendor to come in and engage with Bridgeport residents and to take orders for compost bins and or rain barrels. Frankly, more importantly, rain barrels, because given the size of most yards in Bridgeport and the stormwater runoff issues when you're in a river community such as Bridgeport, rain barrels just probably make more sense. There are probably going to be more purchases of rain barrels than compost bins in a town like Bridgeport. In my efforts to do a little more research on finding a vendor and potentially pairing up with another municipality for this, the Montgomery County, Veronica Harris, who is the head of the Montgomery County recycling program, has asked me if Bridgeport would be willing to host a rain barrel or compost bin recycling event. And I think this makes sense for Bridgeport because the way that this would work under normal circumstances is the vendor in question, who is based out of New Jersey, vendor in question would either set up an online store specifically geared to Bridgeport residents, or we would figure out some other way or method to allow Bridgeport residents to place orders for a rain barrel. And we would have to wait until the quantity of those Bridgeport residential orders got to the point where the owner of the company could justify renting a large box truck, delivering them to Bridgeport Borough, and then which would take place on a Saturday morning, and then hold a little symposium or demo showing all the folks who just bought their new rain barrels and compost bins how to properly install and set them up. I can't, there's no way to predict how many rain barrels we purchase or compost bins the residents of the borough purchase, but folks could be waiting for, a significant amount of time until we move the needle enough for the owner to rent that truck and get them shipped over here. Otherwise, we're paying exorbitant amounts of money for shipping these things. Making this a county event and introducing multiple municipalities to this opportunity to buy is, I think, going to serve two purposes. It's going to get the rain barrels here quicker because we're drawing on a larger consumer base, so folks won't be waiting as long if they order a rain barrel or a bin. And it also, from a promotional standpoint, it introduces and creates an opportunity for folks of other varying municipalities throughout the county to come to Bridgeport on a Saturday morning and see a lot of the growth and progress and great things that are going on in the community. So I think it would be a win-win. As I said, it would be a Saturday morning. The only thing that we would need to provide is about 7 to 10 volunteers. I think between the sustainability committee and maybe some spouses, I think we could more than adequately cover that figure. And then just a place, i.e. the garage, to store the pallet for a day or so until they're all sold off or given away and distributed. So with that, I would be asking for council's authorization to respond back to the county with an affirmative that we are willing to be a host site for an event like this.
I think it's a great idea, Keith. As far as what you brought up and bringing folks into town and widening the net here, do we need a vote on that or just sort of a verbal nod?
A vote would, if something documented in the minutes would be good for posterity.
So moved. I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I will second.
Motion made by Mr. Bennett, seconded by Ms. Nolan to authorize Mr. Truman to move forward with the plan for the compost bins and rain barrels event in the borough, or at least to reach out and get the ball rolling. Any additional comments or questions from council on that? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up for council consideration, authorization to pay bills and salaries for the month of January 2021.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Heard a motion from Mr. Scott, seconded by Ms. Gundrum to pay the bills and salaries for January 2021. Any additional questions or comments from council? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously as well. Thank you.
Very good. Next up, unfinished business. Are there any members of council with unfinished business that they wish to discuss? All right, seeing none, committee reports. Are there any committee reports that chairs would like to bring forth at this time? Very well. Next up, we have the mayor's report. Mayor Barbie.
I have nothing to report this evening.
All right, thank you, sir. And moving on to the chief's report. Chief Beretta, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do. A couple things. Good evening, everyone. I just want to bring you up to speed on a couple major criminal events that we've had over the last month. As you may have heard, on Christmas Day, we had a strong arm robbery of the In-N-Out Market, wherein we had 4 individuals that were involved in the crime. You may also have heard back in Plymouth, there was a SWAT team standoff in Plymouth Township related to another criminal exercise, and that was in part related to a multi-county, multi-state involvement with an armed robbery crew. I'm pleased to just give an initial announcement that that at least one of the 4 individuals has been charged with the robbery of the In-N-Out Market and is currently in the county prison. Once I have the others persons identified and through a preliminary hearing, I'll give a more fuller rendering of the robbery. But just to say, good work by Detective Bill Murphy and the county detectives and the Plymouth Township and all of our partners working to get some dangerous criminals off the street. Also on last Friday, on the 22nd, there was a carjacking of an individual in the borough of Norristown. One of our eagle-eyed officers, Officer Spencer Ellers, spotted the stolen Mercedes SUV crossing DeKalb Street Bridge, went to stop the car, and it drove off. It was pursued. There were 2 minor and 1 moderate accidents. 2 minor accidents were in Bridgeport. And then the last accident occurred in West Conshohocken on 76 eastbound, where members of Conshohocken, West Conshohocken, and Bridgeport Police Department assisted in taking into custody the person who confessed to the crime, and his name is Dupree Mark Bentley, 22 years of age, from a unit block, Colorado Street in the city of Philadelphia. So good work by our law enforcement teammates. So good work. You'll going on to the school zone. School's back in session. You'll notice that we have multiple signboards out there. Normally we keep them off the streets during the winter months so that they're not damaged by plows. But because of the big change with the school status of our children not being in school, wanted to make it clear that we're going to be out in the area and to remind people to please be cautious. So we have signs on it. You'll also notice multiple police cars conducting enforcement operations. So I know that with going back and forth to school and bringing other things to school, if people could be wary of between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the mornings and 3 and 4 p.m. in the afternoons, that if you do not need to take that course up and down Ford Street, specifically I guess it would be the eastbound route, you may wish to choose the 4th Street to Cal Street corridors for that. If you are dropping things off, please do so as expediently as possible so we can move traffic along and help the school day move on. There's been some projects recently on DeKalb Street and on 4th Street. They suspended operations on 4th Street construction due to weather, which was wise. We can expect in the near future, but just to give people some time, heads up, starting on February 8th through that week and maybe into the next, we're going to have closures of the streets that have the railroad crossings, starting with Mill Street, for regrading and renewing the railroad gradings and signalization. So please be wary that you may, if you use Depot Street as a cut through to get to DeKalb Street in Norristown, you may wish to use either 4th Street or just be wary that both Mill Street, then Depot Street, and then Ford Street railroad crossings will be tied up early in the month of February. As far as emergency management goes, everyone's aware with the COVID, the variations with the COVID-19, and the current push for vaccination, which I'm one. I was able to get a vaccine, and hopeful to that a lot of our fellow public servants and citizens will be able to get that as soon as possible, so we can kind of get our lifestyles back in check and not have to worry as much as we've been worrying, and the impact it has on our community. So with that, since that hasn't happened, the second that we do get some further notes on vaccinations, we'll redirect you to the Montgomery County Health Department site, where there's already people that can be pre-signed up for vaccinations, especially those that are 65 and older or have comorbidity or underlying health issues. So please look and seek out the Montgomery County Health Department's COVID site. I'd like to thank Alex Mann for stopping by. Alex assisted us with autism awareness training for our police department, and he's a treasured friend of the police department. So again, thanking him for stopping by yesterday. That's all I have for you. Please be safe. Watch the roadways. I don't believe that there's going to be much precipitation, and the temperature should stay right above freezing, so we should be okay on that. And God bless you and your families.
All right, thank you, Chief. Moving forward to new business. Are there any items of new business this evening? Okay. Next up, open forum and announcements, and I have a few announcements that I'd like to go through.
Keith, did we lose Councilman Heil?
Oh, why? Hear that we.
Yeah, he said his computer froze, so hopefully he gets back.
Okay. Thank you. A couple announcements to go through. As Chief Beretta alluded to, Norfolk Southern is going to be coming into town, starting with Mill Street and doing some rehabilitation to their at-grade crossings. Mill Street is set to be closed beginning February 8th until February 11th. They had stated that it would take, quote, 3 to 4 days. So we are, by directive of the mayor's road closure notice, issuing a 4-day closure. If it's open a day early, then we all benefit. Secondly, a Chester Valley Trail construction update. I know that the Chester Valley Trail has been a frequently discussed topic in the community for several years now, and it looks like I shouldn't say it looks like, it is actually happening. The county has mobilized their contractor, Alan Myers. They, if anybody's gone up 5th Street / Ross Road over the past couple days, you'll notice that they have already begun clearing brush and grubbing the ground, getting that width of that trail passage ready for the construction. Additionally, Bill Hartman, who is the section chief for trails and planning for the county, and is the lead on this project for the county, estimates that in addition to Ross Road, the demolition of 2 buildings at 106 DeKalb near the intersection of Front Street and DeKalb took place within the last couple of weeks, and that is also part of the overall Chester Valley Trail plans. Getting back to my initial point, Bill Hartman of the county estimates that in terms of Main Street, well, not Main Street, but Route 202 DeKalb Street trail construction in the heart of Bridgeport, estimates that's going to take place, begin taking place in April or May of this year. So obviously with the Markley Street construction, the water company construction on 4th Street in Bridgeport, and the Chester Valley Trail construction all have the potential to be taking place concurrently. We would just ask folks to be extremely careful and cautious when going through these active construction zones, because they are going to be we're going to be inundated with them in the next couple of months. And finally, I had put up a brief public service announcement on Facebook yesterday, and I just wanted to follow up on that. Folks, residents of Bridgeport, I am, and I'm sure the rest of council and administration are ecstatic that the Little Free Library has been as successful as it has been in town over the last year or two since its inception and construction. It's always full, and there's always new stuff in there. People are extremely generous with their donations, and it just seems to be a win-win for everybody thus far. However, I would ask folks that if you plan on making a major donation, i.e. a big box full of books or DVDs, don't leave them on the ground at the base of the library. Please coordinate either with, you can always call Borough Hall and let us know that you have a donation, or you can contact Beth Jaxier, who is the Bridgeport resident that manages the Little Free Library. It's not a borough-run program. It's actually run by a borough resident. The library just so happens to be on borough property. So it's a lot more convenient if folks want to reach out to Beth or Borough Hall. We can actually coordinate somebody picking up that donation from your house rather than dumping them down at the front door of Borough Hall. And I think it's a win-win for everybody. You don't have to throw out a vertebrae lugging a box of books down to Borough Hall, and we don't have a box of books sitting in front of our front porch. So it's a win-win. And so thank you all for your cooperation in this ongoing thing. So with that, I have nothing further. There are no public comments for this evening. Unless any members of council have an announcement or anything else they wish to discuss, we could certainly entertain the motion to adjourn.
My only comment, because my computer messed up a little bit there, so I'm sorry that I missed a couple minutes of the police presentation, but I want to thank the police for being there for the opening of school today. Helped run very smoothly. There are a lot of parents with a different kind of pickup and drop off than usual, and the police helped to navigate that in a way that I think turned out to be very safe, and just grateful considering how many other issues could be going on that things run so smoothly in our town, and just know that a lot of parents, including myself, appreciate that.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
A second.
All right, folks, it's 8:23. That's the end of our meeting tonight. Everybody watching, again, please stay safe. Please follow the direction of the health guidance. Wear your masks, stay distance, be careful, get your vaccines as soon as you can. And we'll be back here the second week of February, and we will see you all in person as soon as we surely can. Thank you. Have a great night.
Amen.
Have a good night. Bye.
See ya.